We've all, in some capacity, been experienced to gun violence.
About 10 years ago, I was robbed at gunpoint.
Police is failing the black community.
Before I got to high school, my brother was murdered in D.C.
And it made me think, like, do I need a gun?
You know, I'm just a youth. I'm 22 years old, and I make a way for me and my child, and I continue to advocate for the youth, and I stick by my village. So Miss T is a part of my village. So as me being able to sit back and be an observer, I observe people when they're hurting, when they need help, and I got to get my cup refilled. So I pray a lot. I get my balance from God. Anytime we are in a meeting or something, I continue to use him as my resource.
It's a really beautiful thing going on, but it's also something very serious happening that has been happening to us as a people for decades, and it's called the disease of gun violence.
Before I got to high school, my brother was murdered in D.C., and I was 13 years old. So Bishop McNamara, this school has been very instrumental in how I serve.
About 10 years ago, I was robbed at gunpoint by 5 men with 2 guns. And they got me in my car, and they just, they stole all my money, stole my wallet, tried to steal my car. I thought they was gonna kill me and just leave me dead on the side of the road. And people would tend to think that just because somebody is a therapist, that you just got it all figured out, right? You ain't got no problems. You must got your life great. But no, I don't, because that situation, it messed me up.
We've all, in some capacity, been experienced to gun violence as well. So could I ask by a show of hands, if you could put your hand on your heart if you've been directly impacted by gun violence?
I remember hearing gunshots outside, like down my street. I open my window curtain, I look outside, I see down the corner. I see a car kind of like stuck next to the sidewalk, and a guy like pointing a gun into it and shooting his gun. I saw like the muzzle flash and everything.
You gotta know you gotta use your discernment that God give you in order to know when to get out of a situation. So even with their father, I used to just tell him, like, something don't feel right about these friends that you hanging with. Something just don't feel right. And that ended up the group of friends that ended up shooting him in his head. So you gotta just know, because you don't know when your time gonna come or when time in general is gonna end.
Y'all see Kevin Hart when he had his little stand-up? It was some show, he said he don't use words, he don't use violence, he use words. That's a good way too, to just use your words. Be expressive, talk about how you feel. If you're seeing something around you that makes you uncomfortable, talk about it. If you have friends that are being violent and doing things in your neighborhood that you know are unsafe, tell them. Let them know how you feel. Let them know how it makes you feel. I had a cousin that used to brag about robbing people till I got robbed. When I got robbed, then it was a problem. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes we are looking at these matters in our situation, in our environment, like it doesn't affect me. I never been held at gunpoint, right? So why I gotta worry about it?
And then far as my first time seeing a murder, right? What was unique about my situation is I know who did it and I know who died, and they both were friends of mine. And I'm about 17, 18. And it made me think, like, do I need a gun?
How many times do you know of, whether it's yourself or family members, that law enforcement, police, have failed someone in your household or your community? We all see the negativity, right? Police is failing the black community. And then I walk through your door. And immediately I have to understand that they're not upset at me. They haven't gotten to know Travis Coley, the man in the uniform, but because their loved one may have died at the hands of the police. So it's everyone in uniform that gets the rep.
And recognize that gun violence is a disease and it's surrounding us. We're exposed to it just like we were COVID. It's everywhere. But you are the solution. We are the protective factors. And together we can prevent future gun violence from happening.